Hello, grade 8. Today, inshallah, we are going to talk about lesson 6.1 in your book, module 6, lesson 6.1. Lesson 6.1 is talking about relations and functions. Functions that something we can't repeat the x values, which means we can't repeat the input. For anything, if you want to talk about functions, then we can imagine that we have a machine. We can say that we have a machine. This machine, it has two sides. Then we want to talk about functions. And we said that functions, it is something we cannot repeat the x values. So we will not repeat the x values. Then if we are going to say that functions, it looks like that we have a machine, and this machine, it has two sides. So the machine, we are going to put in this machine, and we will receive from the machine. How? We can say that we are going to put this one, so it's called input, and we will receive. So you put something and then you will receive the results. So this is called output. And what about inside the machine? So inside the machine, we have the rule or the function. Then a function, it consists of two sides. So we have to drop or to put in. First, we can say that the input, if we can say that this one is x, and the output, it will be equal y. But to say that this relation represent a function, so we will not repeat the value of x. We will not repeat the value of x. So let me say an example. Then if I have a group of order pair like this one, 2 and 3, and as you know that the first number represent x and the second number represent y. Then you have 2 and 3, you have 5 and 4, you have 0 and 3, and you have 4 and 1. Look at x in each time. Look at x in each time. Then you will discover that first you have 2, and then you have 5, and then you have 0, and then 4. We didn't repeat any element on x. We didn't repeat any element of x. So if I want to answer the question now, he said, if this one represent a function or not? So we are going to say for this one, yes, it is a function. Why? Because each element of x is only one time, or we didn't repeat element of x. What about the domain? What the meaning of the word domain? Then domain, it is the value of x, which we can write it now. It's 2 and 3. 2 and 5 and 0 and 4. Do we have to write them in order? The order is not important, but it's better to write them in order. And you have to write them inside a parentheses like this. Okay, so this is the domain. So the domain is 2 and 5 and 0 and 4. Next, we want to say the range, which is the second term or the value of y, which we connect it with. So it's 3 and 4 and 3. We have to repeat 3 two times? No, it's we can't repeat 3 two times. So we will take 3, 4, and 1. And also we are going to write it in a parentheses. So we have to write this one like a parentheses like this. So it will be 3 and 4 and 1. Then first we have to check. You will check the value of x first. You will go to the question and you will check the value of x. I have 2, I have 5, I have 0, and then I have 4. Do you notice that we repeat any elements? No, we didn't repeat any elements. Then once you didn't repeat any elements, so this one represents a function. Second, what is the domain? The domain is the value of x each time. Then it's 2, and then 5, and then 0, and then 4. If you want to write them in order, then you can write 0, 2, 4, 5. What about the range? The range, it will be 3, 4. Don't repeat 3 again, so it will be 3, 4, and 1. So was the first example. Let's move to the second example and try to solve it by yourself first. Okay, let's start. Then, the first question. This relation represent a function or not? Then you have to go and check. Check with me. First, I have 3, and then I have 2, and then I have 0, and then I have 2. What do you notice? Oh, yes, we repeat 2 two times. Then in this case, I'm going to say it is a function. It is a function, grade 8. No, it is not a function. So we have to write, no, it is not a function. Why? Because we connected or we use L2 two times. What is the domain? The domain is 2 and 3 and 0. What is the range? The range is -1 and -2, and the last one is -1, -2, 1, and 2. And as I said, the order is not important because it's a set of numbers, so we can write it in order. If you didn't write them in order, doesn't matter because the question, it will not be wrong. So it's better only to write your answer in a parentheses like this, and the second one too should be in a parentheses. So this is what just an introduction about the function. So the relation, it is a group of order pair. But the function, if you want to say a function, so it is anything or it is something which we cannot repeat the input or the value of x. Let's move to the next point. Then we said what is the function and how we will decide that this one represents a function or not, and how we are going to determine the domain and the range for any function, even if it's a function or not a function. Let's move to the next part. If we want to represent this function by mapping graph, so what is the mapping? Did you see the oval figure which in front of you? So this is called mapping. And we are going to put the input value, which is 0, 2, 4, 5. So I put them in order here, 0, 2, 4, 5. And also in range, or the second one for the value of y, it's 1, 3, 4. Now we will start to connect. So we have 0 and 3, and we have 2 and 3, we have 5 and 4, and we have 4 and 1. We have 4 and 1. When we look at this mapping diagram now, you can note that each element on X connected only one time. Each element on X connected only one time. For this reason, we said that this one was a function. So even if you will represent them in a set of order pair, you are welcome. Then you are going to check if you will repeat any value of X. So it will be, if you will repeat any value of X, you will say that this is not a function. If you will represent them by mapping diagrams, then you have to connect each element on domain only one time, and don't skip any element. So we have different examples for mapping. We can draw another one if you have another, if you have this example. So we have a numbers. I have 0, and I have 2, and then 4, and then 5, and the opposite side I have 1, and I have 3, and then 4. If I'm going to connect 0 and 3, 2 and 3, 5 and 4, and that's it. So we can say that this one in this case is a function or not function. So we are going to say it's not function. Why? Because 4 has no image. Okay, then in this case we will say that this relation, it's not a function. Why? Because we didn't connect 4. Then in this case we will say that this one, it's not a function. And this is the first case which we are going to say that this one is not a function. What else we can say that this one is not a function? When we have the oval like this, because we want to represent by mapping diagram, and I have numbers inside it. So I have 1, 4, 3, 2, and I have 4, 9, 8. I wrote a numbers randomly. Then I have 1 and 9, and also I have 1 and 8, and I have 4, 3 and 4, 4 and 8, and I have 2 and 8. In this case, we can say that this one is a function or not. So we have to write in this case, it's not a function. Why it's not a function? Why this one is not a function? Because one appears twice. Or we can say one connected 2 times, or one has 2 images. So we can write in different ways. So in front of you here, we have 3 examples with mapping diagram. And when we can say that this one represents a function, and when we can say that it's not a function. In first case, each element on X or each element on domain connected only one time. So this one represents a function. Second, we skipped already 4. So we don't, this one, it will not be a function because 4 has no image. Third example, connected one four times, so two times. So we say that this one is not a function because one has more than one image, has two images, or connected two times. Let me give you another example. What about if you have this figure? This is 2, and I have 1, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to connect. So I have 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 4. So in your opinion, this one represent a function or not? This one represent a function or not? This figure? Yes, not a function. Why? Because 2 appears more than one time, or L2 has more than one image, because we said 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 4. So this one, it will not be an example for a function, because we said that the function, it is something we cannot repeat x axis two times. Let's continue. In this part, we want to determine if the relation represents a function or not. But in this time, we want to decide if it's a function or not by using graph. So the first time we said by using relations or mapping diagram. In this case, we want to say if this one will be a function or not by using graph. So we are going to use something called vertical line test. So we will use vertical line test. What's vertical line test? In front of you now, we have two functions, and we want to decide if this one represents a function or not. When we can say it's a function, when draw the vertical line, it will intersect the function at only one point. So let me show you how here in this example. Did you see move, intersect at one point? Okay, then intersect at one point. In any point, even if you'll back 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, okay, and so on till the end, we can't find more than 1 point. So the vertical line intersect the functions at 1 point. Let's move to the second one. Move. We will start now to move from left to right. Then you will stand in anywhere. Check from the beginning. We will move slightly. Move 1 point, 1 point. Stop. In this case, we note that it's intersect at more than 1 point. It's 3 points. For this reason, we have to say that this point now, this one, it's not a function. Why? Because it's intersect at more than 1 point. Okay, then if you have a graph, so we have to use vertical line test. Again, what's the vertical line test? It's a vertical line. We are going to move above or through the function, and we can say that the first one was function and the second one it's not. Let's try with this question. It's a function or not a function? So we will move, check 1 point, move 1 point, 1 point, right? We can't find more than 1 point till now. So the vertical line test, he will say to us that this one, it will be a function. Let's move to the next one. 1 point, 1 point, 1 stop. In this case, what do you notice here? We note that here, we note that in this question that we can find more than 1 point. So in this one, so I have 1, 2, 3, right? So in this one, we have to say that it's not a function. Why? Because already it intersect with the functions at more than 1 point. For this reason, we will say that this one, it's not a function. So in this video, we discuss the introduction about interpreting graph, how we can decide that this function, how we can decide that the figure is a function, and when we can say that the figure is not a function by using 3 different ways. In a relation, in a set of order pair, or in a mapping graph, or in graph. Then we will, inshallah, meet again in the next video with a new lesson.